All right. Good morning. With the help of Hashem, we are learning today's 3 Prakim Rambam. We are starting the laws of Shkolim, and we will be learning Prakim Aleph, Beis, and Gimel. Now, Hilchos Shkolim, we're speaking about the mitzvah for every Jew, as we'll see, to give a half a shekel a year during the times of the Beis HaMikdash, and these monies were to be used for the communal karbanos of that year. Really, one might have argued, should have belonged in the Sefer of Avodah, right? It should have been connected to the laws of the Beis HaMikdash. However, since this type of tax, it was really, you can call a poll tax, was something that has to be done annually at a specific time. Our part was giving it, not for what it's being used. Purpose, it should belong to Avodah. But our part is connected to a annual obligation. So therefore, the Rambam put it into Sefer Zmanim, which is all about the annual cycle of things that we have to do, time related. Hilchos Shkolim, let's begin with the header. Mitzvahs asay achas, there's one positive commandment. V'hi liten kol ish, for every man to give a half a shekel every year. Ubir mitzvah zu will be be'prakim elu. So let's start with the first chapter, Perek Rishon. Perek Rishon is about the mitzvah, the basics, the foundational rules of giving of a half a shekel. The first chapter has 10 halachas, beginning with halacha aleph, zok the Rambam. Mitzvahs asay min ha-Torah. Litein kol ish mi Yisrael machzis ha-shekel, when b'chol shana v'shana, who afilu anis, even if there's a person that's so impoverished, God forbid, this person is getting supported from the communal funds, he's still obligated. And therefore, v'shoyel ma'achedim, borrow from others. Now, borrowing from others, the Rambam didn't see America 2023. That's the norm over here. Right? You live beyond your means, and what you do is you borrow from others. It was a big chiddush, and no one did that. But for this, you have to do it. You have to borrow money. Or you sell the clothing off your back. And give the half a shekel of kesef, as it says, quoting the pasuk in Parshas Kisisa, right? It's at the end of Zmanim, that ha'asher lo yarbe, ha'hadal lo yam. No, it's everyone has to give. It's not to be given over a period of time, by giving, a tenth of a half and another tenth of a half, and every month paying that down payments or part payments, partial payments, no payment plans. This must be given all at once at one time. Whenever the Torah speaks about a number, like for example, by the rapist, by the seducer. Over there, the Torah says that in certain circumstances, they have to give to the father of the maiden 50 kesef. By Moitzi Shemra, certain circumstances, the Torah says that what has to be given? By the defamer, 100 kesef. If a person kills an Eved, we know you have to give 30 kesef. Kesef, who shekel. When the Torah says kesef or shekel, it's the same currency. And what is this kesef? What is this shekel? Biblically, is sholosh meis ve'esem so'edam, 320 barley coins of pure silver. Now, the kvaroisifu chachamim alav, we added to it, and they made the weight of a half a shekel. Vasu mishkoloi, I'm sorry, not a half a shekel. The weight of a shekel. Kimishkal hamadbeya hanikra sela bisman bayishen. And v'kamuhu mishkal asela, a bit more. Shalosh meyos va'arba u'shmoinim so'ira beinis. I want you to know, what is that nowadays? Machlekes, either 19.2 grams of pure silver or 20.4 grams of pure silver. That's the shekel. A half a shekel, my friends, will be half of that. Now, the Rambam wants to familiarize us with the names of the coinage that they had in the times of Chazal. The Rambam expects of us to remember it. So in the future, whenever he speaks about a dinar, a pudyoin, a ma'a, we should know what he's talking about. So let's go. Sela, that we just mentioned, right? The sela and the shekel is the same. And we just said the sela is, let's say it's around 20 grams of silver, is comprised of 4 dinar. Every dinar is comprised of 6 ma'a. The ma'a, he, and the case with Moshe Rabbeinu Geira, same name, same coin, different names. Every ma'a is comprised of 2 pidyoins, pudyoinin. Every pudyoin is made out of 2 isarim. And what is an isar? An isar is 8 prutas. Pruta achas mishmeina be'isar. Comes out that Mishkal Hama'a V'Hiageda is Sheish Esrei So'ira. Mishkal Ha'isor is Arba So'iros. Mishkal Apruta Chatzi So'ira. No, that's the way you think. The Rambam began Melmaila Lomata. He gave you the weight in barley coins of pure silver of the Sela, and then all the other coins Yakir is a part of, a fraction of a fraction of. So then he translates it also. How much is it in barley? Barley meaning if you were to have a barley coin made out of silver. Halacha Dal. V'oid mabeya acher hayasham shehaya mishkalei two seloim. Two, not one. And that's called a darkoin. Now you know why it's called a darkoin. Because darkoin means that when you travel, you would rather have less coins, even if they are larger or made out of gold. They're easier to guard. You don't want to have 100. You want to have less, right? With the same value. That means that that's it. There won't be other weights for the same name in different places. Why did the Rambam explain it over here? The Rambam says, I don't want to have to explain it every time. Here's the info, and let's remember it. Halacha 5. Machzis hashekel zu mitzvasa she'ite machzis amadbeya shel oisas man. In other words, guys, when we said shekel and when we said selah, the first thing people think is, why would I care, Yakir, how much is a shekel or a selah bezman ba'isheni? Why? Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, give a half a shekel. Bezman Moshe Rabbeinu, a shekel was 320 grams of silver. So why don't we, the mitzvah is to give 160? The Rambam is saying, no, it doesn't work that way. The reason why he said that in the Bizman Ba'yesheni, the shekel became bigger, became like the selah, was because the half a shekel, one can never give less than the 160 barley coins of silver. Never less than Bizman Moshe Rabbeinu. But if in your days, because of inflation or for whatever other reasons, the shekel is more silver, you have to give half of that more. The half will be more. And not less than half. Bizman Moshe, I gave 160 grams of silver. So nowadays it's going to be a third of the seller. You're not allowed to do that. That's what the Rambam is trying. You have to add.
It's barley corns. You're saying coins? It's corns, right?
No. Barley corns. So
corns, right.
Yeah, just because that's something that's in nature, and you can more or less, okay, today it's easier. Grams are more precise, but in those, that's as precise as you get. But we have to know how much was it this man Moshe, because Eina Shekel Pachos Mechatzi Shekel Shevimei Moshe Rabbeinu, which, as we just mentioned, Shahu, what was a half a shekel then? The silver weight of 160 barley corns, because we said the shekel was 320, half of that was 160. Now, halacha 6. This man Shaimed Be'ashol, this man Darkoinois. What is a Darkoin? Halacha Vav, we said 2 Salayim, quite amazing. So then, if that's what people use, Yakir, a half a shekel means 1 selah. Ubizman shoyim ad beis soloyim. Hoyakolish noise machsa shekel sholei chatzi selah. Shnei dinar. Understand? Ubizman shoyim ad beis chatzi selah. Hoyki yachal v'yachal noise machsa shekel loisi chatzi selah. U'ma'olam lo yishaklu Yisrael b'machsa shekel pachas mechatzi shekel shotei. That's examples. In other words, there were times that people used, there were different coins that were the main coin. So there will be a fluctuation of how much value is the half a shekel. But there is a minimum. That's the point he wants to make. Never less than the half is man Moshe. Halacha 7. Hakol chayav lit machsa shekel. Who's hakol? Kaihanim, Levim, and Yisraelim. Gedim, va'avadim, and avadim that were mishcharanim. I want you to know that Kaihanim did not think that they're mechuyev to give, and therefore there were consequences, as we'll see so. Aval, loy noshim, loy avadim, loy ketanim. However, ve'im nosnu, mekabelin mehen. Aval agoyim, shenosnu machzas hashekel, ein mekabelin mehen. Because it goes for korbanei sibur. Katan shehischel avav litin olav machzas hashekel. If the father is giving on behalf of his minor son, the father may not stop. Shuv and a poison. Elo noisim kol shana v'shana ad sheyagel v'yitim al atzmoi. Therefore, now if people that have a minig that they give the $3.50 on Taina Sester for every family member, you're not. If you began, keep on doing it. Halacha ches. Hashkolim einon nahagam elo b'fnei habayis. Only b'fnei habayis means when the temple is standing. However, when the temple is standing, it's not only given by the Yidden that live in Eretz Yisrael. On the other hand, when we don't yet have the third Beis Hamikdash, then even in Eretz Yisrael, ein noy hagin. Now we have to add something. That was the whole theme of Masechta Shkolim, because one might think, like, B'chlal, let me separate it, and let me be magdish it. And even though you can only give the shekel of this year for this year, say that if God forbid we don't build the Beis Hamikdash this year, then it's going to be shkolim of the previous year. We're not allowed to do that. We don't give it. As we learned that we're not magdish things, people can be chayv me'ilo. Many people think and have a munah that Mashiach has come, a munah that we're going to build the Beis Hamikdash today. Let me express it by concrete. This concrete you're not allowed to do. This. Because you might be chayv me'ilo. Halacha 9. The court would announce, guys, the collection is about to happen. And they should have it ready to be given. And it's not the lie. Some people, Baruch Hashem, when parnasa is good, what's a half a shekel? What's 20 grams of silver? If someone can make the cheshbon right now, not 10 grams of silver. For some people, they don't need the notification. Some people, they have to know about it. They have to know. They have to begin setting aside money for it.
But if it's
yeah.
what do they need a product?
No, they don't give it then. They don't give it then. That's the whole point. The people that are very poor, they need to know. I need to know 2 weeks before that a bill is coming. And if I can't put it together in my budget, I have time to borrow the money. I have time to sell my shirt to get the money. Now, by on the 15th of Adar, then already the money changers will already in every location have a place where one could give them. And where would they establish themselves? And then, since it's only the 15th of Tovin Ben Achaz, they would gently prod the people to give. At that time. But on the 25th, then, first of all, they would also start making a collection in the Beis Hamikdash. Now, it doesn't mean that they would only collect in the Beis Hamikdash. Once they opened up in the Beis Hamikdash, the place for the collection, all of the other money changers, Medina, they would be more forceful. You understand? And they would mamish take his property, not for the payment, as a pledge. Exactly. Halacha Yud, the final halacha of this chapter, which is, as we said, like a father is giving on behalf of his son, right? He's not mechoyev, but he's giving. Or someone who's asid litain. You know what that means? It means a 12-year-old, a boy. In other words, he's not chayev, but he's not a 3-year-old. Next year, he's going to be given. Someone who's going to be giving. Another din, we never take a mashkin from the kehanim. And this, guys, we learned in the Gemara. What did we learn in the Gemara? That kohanim thought that they are exempt of paying. That's what they thought. Now, how do you deal with people that think that they don't have to? So many people of force that have that illness from the snake, they say, I'm going to teach you that you have to. No. You're more gentle with them. You don't take a mashkin. Even though the chayiv like anyone else. It's crazy. It's a good thing to learn from. Since they thought they're not chayiv to give, and in their minds they're giving lifnim mishuras adin.
Not that simple.
No.
What made the kohanim answer? What made the kohanim?
Why did they think that way?
I want to answer that question. We learned this in Shkolim. In the communal karbanos were being offered by the Kohanim. They were the ones that did the work. It's very common when there's a communal project of tzedakah. The people that roll up their sleeves and do the work many times feel that I'm already contributing by doing this. I don't have to give the money also. I'm going to give, but I don't feel like I'm a choyev to give. And for you to go out and say, no, you're mechoyev to give, There was no need. You have to know. Every case is a case. There, the halacha is don't be mamashkin. Ella kishayitnu, when they give it, they're makabel. They have to, and not only that, they were told to give. In other words, we didn't allow people to live in their mistake. We told the guy, no, you're mechuyev to give, but we're not going to take a mashkin. That's a very deep thing. We should learn from that. Perek Sheni, moving on. The second chapter from Hilchos Shkolem. When you think your wife has to give you something,
No, but how about you don't take much one.
but you tell please, you tell them that you please pay up. Please pay up. Without force. Without force. A mashkin is force. That's force. It's not about kosher because the chayv to give. No. Yeah, we should learn that, guys. When I say the word please, I don't only say the word please when you're not mechuyev. I say the word please when you're mechuyev also. Okay, Perek Sheni is all about now the trumas halishka, as we'll explain. The trumas we have in this chapter 10 halachas halacha. Okay, now in the previous chapter we spoke about how the money changers in every city would gather the money, like Yakir said, like in Russia. So your name was on a list somewhere. You're on the list, and only when you paid it were you crossed out. They knew who paid, who didn't pay. Now what? Now there's money in every city. So they would put in front of these money changers two. We would call this tzedakah pushkas. They would call it a teva or a shofar. It's a box like our pushka that is very wide on the bottom. It's big. And on the top, it's very narrow, facilitating putting money in, difficulting stealing money out. And why two boxes? You're giving the half a shekel for that year. Some guy can wake up today and he says, "Well, I have a back pay." Now we will see that the communal korbanos from Rosh Chodesh Nisan until Rosh Chodesh Nisan may only be bought from shkolim that were given this year. But if I, God forbid, did not give from last year, I'm not off the hook. I have to pay back. But that money is put in a separate collection, and we'll see later that it's used for other things. So be smart. When people are already giving, already allow them to do tshuva. Already have the box there. Halacha base. Guys, let's remember this. The Mishnah is Shkolem, Shloish, Esle Teva. In the base of Mikdash, there weren't two, there were 13 such boxes. Even though Kevin had pictures, I'm very unimpressed with them. I have a whole different image of Mahut. That will stop someone's imagination. I'm saying, Kol Teva came in Shofar. Everyone again had the shofar. Shofar means that it was narrow in the top and wide in the bottom. And it was numbered, number one. The second was L'shik Lishana Sha'avra. So far, like every Shulchan had this. Shlish is L'chal Mishiyesh all of Karban Shtei Toyda Moshnei B'nei Yoina. So either we're going to learn in Avodah, you can Yakir, Pashat, come with the birds and wait for Kahanim to take it, or put the money in this table. The Kahanim would never bring the afternoon Tamid ever until all of the money of this container was used. So once you put the money in there, done. The fourth was for people that had an obligation to bring an oilas oif. Don't forget, the whole challenge of kinin, I'm going back to the fourth box, is that if the oil and the chatos gets mixed, but if you put cane stamp by the birds or money stamp, from this money, whatever is needed, whatever is needed, the oil, chatos, bird, that's no problem. Then the monies can be interchanged. The fifth, Lemisha is not of Mois Liknus Behem Eitzim Lamarach. She is Lemisha is not of Mois Lalavoina. People just donated Lavoina. Shavi is Lemisha is not of Zov like Apoides. Now, Zov like Apoides, yeah. They're talking about Kapoides. They think of what are we talking about, guys? Didn't Moshe Rabbeinu made the cover? V'zeh. No. So we learned this. Kapoides also includes that they coated the inner walls of the Kodesh Kachim gold. And that was something that at time needed to be refurbished or added to make it more fancy. That's a lot of gold. People wanted to participate with that. Sheminis Lamoisel Chatas. Guys, it's so geschmack to quickly remember Kachim, Avodah. So what do you do with Moiser Chatos? So this Chamisha Chatos Hamesas Yakir. But by Moiser Chatos is not put to death. Moiser Chatos is not thrown to Yamamela. Like if I'm chayv one carbon chatos and I designate money, this is for my chatos. Turns out that the animal, I don't need the $500. I only needed the $400. That's called moisar chatos. All of that will be used. Let's say the oilas mizbeach, ketzam mizbeach. Right. Going shefresh moisar chatos. If like a chad voice min amois. Yash b'shal toich. The ninth lo moisar asham. Same concept by an asham. Asiris lo moisar kinei zovim v'zovis v'yoldas. Achad asrei lo moisar korbanos nazir. I want you to know that the last 6 boxes, Yakir, all of the moisars, the money will be used ultimately for the same thing. It's going to be used whenever the mizbeach is sitting idle, an oila will be brought for the community, and it's going to be offered them. And a chanami, but they're coming from different places. They were in 6 different boxes. Halacha Gimel. The shame called over so I said a number, I take it back. The boxes, the shofars were not numbered. The name was written. They would write it on the box. In other words, you can ask if I designated money lachatos, who gave the right that the moisar, the money should go la'oila? Or moisar asham? No, that's called Beis Din. In other words, that is the rule. It's called the Tanai Beis Din. Leiv Beis Din Masna. And them say Salome, Shekol HaMoisar, and says Rishesh Tevas Achrenis, Loilas Vehema. And when that happens, their hides are given to the Kahanim, Kishar Oirois that are working in that mishmar, in that day south. V'chol HaMoisar B'Teva Shlishis, you buy oifes. Chetzin Oila v'chetzin chatas. Shebrevi is called Oila So'oif. Allah Chadalat. B'chol Medina Medina, Kishkoven Avshkolim. How would they get there? Today you wired the money, then you wired it through a person. And you are allowed to exchange them into golden coins. They use it for themselves. L'chaim. It's good to be a kohen. Furthermore, ultimately everything made its way to the temple. All of the rivers flow into the sea. That's our sea. And it was good. Now we're going. There was a chamber from the many chambers in the temple. And that was a chamber. It was closed, locked, and sealed. Because that was the money chamber. And in there, they would gather all the money into 3 large containers. Shir kol kupa can hold 9 sa'im. There was huge containers. And if there was an overflow of money, so it overflowed on the ground. See, today we're living in the modern world. You think about money, you think about the number, your electronic number on your app, on your bank. It's different. It was Pashut Kesef, and there were boxes. And then if you were very wealthy, it flowed on the ground. It didn't fit. You know, it's better that than having 4. You wanted to have, that's it. The Zeh. Something we never get. Imagine, think it in your mind. The money that's in these containers are called Trumas Halishka. The funds of the chamber, right, that were set aside. That's called Truma. And the coins that didn't fit anymore, they were on the ground. They are called Shiyare Halishka. The remainder within the chamber. Now, when were the funds removed from? So I got it. It made in there. Now, when did they open up the locks and the seal to take money out? 3 times a year. When? Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. Now, guys, Yom Tov, we learned Muktzah. We just learned Tocha Shabbos. Money is Muktzah. Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Chodesh Tishrei is Rosh Hashanah. You can't take the money. So it's not on the day. It's either Koydem Yom Tov, meaning Chav Tes Elul, or Achrav, Gimel Tishrei. As we'll learn, even in the Beis Hamikdash, sometimes they had 2 days Yom Tov, as we'll learn. Second and the third time, now look at the Seder of the Rambam. Or 15 days prior to Shavuos. Okay, that's the kasha, right? Why doesn't the Rambam follow the Seder Yakir? Nisan, right? Atzeres, and Rosh Hashanah. I don't know. But as I this, one person enters, only one guy enters. and 2 guards stand outside. No. Rosh Chodesh Nisan. No. Nicht. Rosh Chodesh Nisan was the first time. Okay, so you have 1 guy inside, 2 guards outside. Who are they guarding it from? The Kohanim. I'm just kidding, guys. I no offense to the Kohanim. But who Omer Lahem? And the guy inside asks, Etroim. Because you know what he's going to be doing? He's going to be removing the coins from the baskets. Removing. Etroim. And they tell him, Troim, Troim, Troim. 3 times. Many times when it came to the Avodah, Ekzoid, right? The Ksira Soiver. It's ceremonially, it's very powerful. I'm sure there's Inyanim Al Pi Kabbalah also, but even Al Pi Nigla, it's not to be a nudnik. There's a persia, you get it. Like every time he went in there, he walked out with 3 little baskets. Kol kupa mehem had in it the quantity of 3 sa'in from those 3 kupas gedolos. That Rambam is going to go into more details in a moment. Now, where did they put that Rambam doesn't write? But this money, where was it put? What do you think? It was put on a bench in the temple area? Of course not. But out of that chamber. Here the Rambam is here. The Rambam is going on the Seder of the year. And Allah now, guys, don't think that it needed to be that way, because like the biggest time was after Rosh Hashanah until Nisan, a leap year. What happens if the money ran out? They would go and take again. It doesn't mean 3 to the exclusion of more. This was the fixed. You have the fixed expenses. Take out the mortgage. You take out this. Doesn't mean we don't take out more money. Before you learn around, somehow we make meyesh la'ayin. I mean, we do it so quick.
Don't try to struck from
Oh, but Rosh Chodesh Nisan, now the new year, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, now you take from the new collection. What happens here that Rambam writes? You know, if they used up all of the money in the baskets, no problem. There's money on the floor. Now, don't forget, guys. Let me go on the other hand, Kevin. Some of the money can be left over. And a chanami, those monies that were left over will go into another account that's called the shkolim of the previous year. We already mentioned that. Even when they made the collections by the shulchanim, you had the 2 shofars. Halacha said, shalosh kupais haketanos, shutroinu behem, umeitziam lachutz. You know what you had written on them? Aleph, Beis, Gimel. Today, dafke. Because we wanted Yakir, when the money was taken out from the little baskets, it was done with the Seder. First, they would only eat up money from basket Aleph, then Beis, then Gimel. The Rambam is not writing where they kept them, but wherever they kept them, it wasn't Hefker Vel. 1, 2, 3, because first they went through 1, then they went through 2, and then they went through 3. The Toidemin, now, when you went into the chamber, guys, we said there were 3 big baskets. Yakir, the Halskop. One little basket, let's say Aleph, Yakir took out of 1 big basket. The Beis took out of another one. The Gimel took out from the 3rd one. In the big baskets, each one had the merit to give the money first at one of these 3 points. Whichever one gave first this time did not give first the next time. They would cover with a cloth. But the 3rd one in the chamber was not covered. So like this, when you walk in there the next time, whichever one was left last will begin first. And therefore, now you know which one to begin with. And that is the one. That is the one. The the Toirim Shlishis Menagdoshim Smuchalav and Machapoisa, Kadeshi Yaschel Mimeno Batchila Bapam Shlishis Kishikonis Betisha. Shenimtzo toidem rishoina ushnia ushlishis hakatanois mikol achas viachas min hagadoilois. It's amazing how we're giving cover to the coins themselves. We're giving cover to every kupa. Every kupa should be the one that's giving. Halacha ches. What do you have in mind? So like this. Toirem esarishoina l'shem Eretz Yisrael. L'shem Eretz Yisrael means for all of the Yid that live in Eretz Yisrael. Shnia, you have in mind l'shem hakerachem hamukafel, for all of the Yidden that live in the walled cities surrounding Eretz Yisrael, on behalf of all of the Jews that live there. The hashlishis l'shem Babel, l'shem Madai, l'shem Amadina, l'shem Sha'ar Kol Yisrael. Halacha 9. When you are separating, normally, guys, when you take money out of a pile of coins, so it's clear what you're doing. You're taking money, Akir, from the pile. No, you're not. Because many people might have already given, but their monies did not make it in the chamber. And you want for the korbanos to be bought from their money. So here, the kavana was, not only am I taking it from what is here, I'm also taking it to ala gavoi, on the monies that were already collected that are still not in the lishka. And what about the Yid that woke up late to give it? I want to be misaka him. So normally you can't do futures. We're doing future. I'm taking this for all of the Yidden that are going to give the money later. So let's say today's Rosh Chodesh Nisan. A Yid is going to wake up 9 months later to give the half a shekel, better than ever. The beauty is that since he's giving it in the future, the kavana of the first taking out was for him also. Well, it's crucial to do the mitzvah, correct. Kidei sheyu elu ashkolim shoitziu leistapik mehem kaparahu al kol Yisrael. Even to the Jew that comes late to the class, even to the Jew that woke up late to give, and ukeilu higia kol sheklaim alishkav and itimu mehem trumazu. This is mamish beautiful, beautiful. Yiddishkeit, my friends. Final halacha yud. Tishikones hatayim litraim. Now, when the guy goes in there to remove from the big kupais into the 3, lo yikones bebeged, don't go in wearing a type of clothing she'efsher lahachpois b'kesef, where it's possible to hide money in it. But lo b'minol, not with shoes, because you can always hide money in shoes. That's the normal thing. Normal people, you stick money in your shoes. Lo b'sandal, not even in a sandal. Even though the sandal, you have to chop it between your toes, but you can still do that. But like tefillah, imagine, tefillah means tefillin. Because you can stick it under the tefillin. Tefillin doesn't mean in your hand. It means you shouldn't be wearing tefillin. It's very tragic when they go in the airport. That happened, I think, once or twice. I mean, it's a good thing that it only happened once or twice, that people put the diamonds in the tefillin, and it's sacrilegious. This is Lam Shechil Hashem. In other words, they're using it. Not good. Or a kameya, and not because they'll do it, because people will suspect. Shema yach shadu oisaha on the yom. Hechbi memois alishka tachlat kishatarm. Guys, I want you to know something very important. There's a huge difference in halacha between maras ayin and chashat, and people have to remember that. Maras ayin means that I'm not choshed you. Maras ayin means fakert, I respect you. If you do something that appears, if you appear to be doing something that's not okay, you know what I will think? That is okay. I won't be choshed, then I'll end up doing it. Marasai means I'll be influenced by you in the wrong way. Chshad means, no, stealing is not okay. And even if you didn't steal, don't do something which will arouse other people, giving them a potential of being choshed that you're doing it. And another thing, you know where you can hide the coins? In your mouth. So they would talk to him, because when you put a coin in your mouth, try to talk. Maybe some Ganavim figured that out also, but I don't know if it's possible. It's like when your kids put on braces. Now, even though it was impossible to steal, nevertheless, someone who craves money was never told to go there, because the money craver, people know this guy, keep him away from money. He'll figure out. And who cares what people think? That's the final question. Shame on the one who's suspecting. I have to modify my behavior for him not to suspect. It's amazing how this pasuk in Parshas Matas is really written by the Bnei Gad, Bnei Reuven. It's taken out of context. In other words, if they're going to go Lefanov and they're going to wage the battle, then they'll be clean. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu told them when he agreed with the Tanai Kafel. But we're taking this much bigger. Not that if they'll do what they promised to do, then they'll be Nikiyim. No, it means Bechlal, behave in a way that not only will God see, God always sees what you're doing, if it's kosher or not kosher, that a Yid who's looking at you, it should be clear that you're Naki. Live a type of life that leaves you blameless. All right, the Hilchah Shkolim Perek Shlishi. We will learn now about the kolbain. If you remember the kolbain, we're going to have the Hechatimsa, where one person will have to give 2 kolbains, big machlekes rishonim. We'll see how the Rambam learns that case. And we're going to learn about the kedusha of the shkolim. This chapter, what to do with money. We learned in the previous chapter about the 13 shoifros that you had in the Beis Hamikdash, right? In Perek Beis, Halacha Beis. We're going to learn in this chapter what happens if in the Beis Hamikdash money was found on the ground in between the shoifros. Karoiv, mechza al mechza. What do you do then? Give it to the one that's more chamur, as will be defined. This chapter has 15 halachas, beginning with halacha Aleph. It says the Rambam chatzoye hashkolim. Hakol tzricham lehem. I'm talking about technically during that time of the year, everyone needed those coins. Right? I didn't have to give a shekel, and they would not accept a shekel. Everyone only gave a half a shekel, so that coinage was coveted. People wanted that. What happens if something is wanted? Its value goes up. Why is it needed? Now, guys, I can give on behalf of me and you. We'll get to that in a moment. But most people give their own half a shekel. If you would tell a money changer, forget about the mitzvah yakid, I would give the guy a shekel, and I would tell the money changer, exchange this for 2 half a shekels. The money changer would demand a certain little added amount of silver. That added coin of silver, it's not a name of a coin, it's an amount of silver. It's called a kolboin. It's like a tip. And again, I'm saying the way the Me'idi is the one that says, since there was such a demand for the coins, they would charge for the coins. Rashi, if you remember, Rashi says like this: when you go to a money changer, and sometimes, guys, the silver would get rubbed out. When people would get the money, they would weigh it. The money changer would always want that the scale should be tipped in his favor. That's how he made a parnas. So it doesn't matter which way. The point is, you would have to give this added amount of the silver. It's echad, I think it's 48 takir, and it doesn't matter. If 2 people came and they gave 1 shekel on behalf of both of them, they have to give a kolbain. Why do they give a kolbain? Because what am I chayv to give? I'm chayv to give a half a shekel. The half a shekel yakid has more value. If I would go to a money changer and make the shekel into 2 halves, I would have to give the money changer the kolbain. Me and you are chayv to give a half a shekel. We're giving it to the Beis Hamikdash. It's not that the Beis Hamikdash has to make it into 2 half shekels, but what we really, the 2 half shekels is the 2 half shekels in a kolbain. We cannot jip the Beis Hamikdash from the kolbain. Halacha beis. Kol mi she'ein chayv v'shkolim.
Who got the transaction fee? The kolbain, Beis Hamikdash or the money changer?
I can promise you guys. I want to do an exercise. Go into our daf Hayomi Gemara. All of the questions Kavan is going to ask now, all of them, you'll see, it will be the same. And if you can see the Zoom with the same facial expression, I know for sure. I hope I'm getting the same answer. I'm just saying the way we work. See, you hear that? Right away, Kavan jumped up. Oh, that's it. And God remembers. So that's the nachas he has of his kids. You learn Torah. He knows what you're going to ask. He's waiting. There he goes. Allah beis. Kol mi she'ein chayv v'shkolim. Kigoin shnei noshim, shnei avodim, but they give anyways, and they gave a shekel. Since they're not chayiv, they are exempt from the kolboy. Beautiful. Now, even more than that, listen. The nasan hachayiv al yad hapater, the one obligated yakir gave the half a shekel on his behalf and on behalf of the one that's exempt. Going isha nasan shekel olav al isha oy evet. Beautiful. Pater min hakolboy. Pater min hakolboy. It makes sense because
If I have a shit there,
you're not breaking it. You're giving the Beis Hamikdash the shekel. You're saying it's for me and for her. Now, since she's not chayiv, it makes sense. The chen kohanim v'turim and hakolbin. Guys, we learned in Perek Aleph that kohanim zam zich eingeret. They convince themselves that they don't have to give. Umepnei darkei shalom, mepnei hakovid, mepnei darkei shalom. We didn't take a mashkin, so we don't take the kolbin. V'ashoykel yad hakohen. Even a guy who gives on behalf of the coin. If you don't take it from the coin, you don't take it on behalf of the guy that's giving it from the coin. The way go back to Perek Aleph, I understand Darkei Shalom is the wiser way to get people to do, even though you're telling them you're chayiv, but in their mind they're pater. What do you do with that? How do you interact with the person? You put less pressure, not more pressure. You have to know how people work. The goal is for me to keep all the mitzvahs b'simcha ba'ah, but that's my goal. How do you get a person there? So it depends how you were raised. Some people were raised with a lot of force, and therefore in their mind they mean well because they're doing it to them. Doesn't work. There's a better way. We have to learn from the Torah how to motivate people. There is a balance. You're chayiv, but I'm not going to charge from you I'm not going to take the kolboy. I understand. I understand that you feel you're not chayiv. This is a big soy. This they chapter. Halacha gimel. Hanoisen shekel olav alo ani oyal shchenoy oyal ben iroi. Now, guys, these are people that are chayiv to give, but you know what? The ani didn't give yet. You know what that means? It means that from the perspective of the Beis Hamikdash, they're benefiting that I'm giving it for the ani. Now, would the ani give it in a month? Could be. Probably, but the fact that I'm doing, so to say, a favor for the Beis Hamikdash, if I'm giving it for them for matana patim and akalba. No, but if I'm giving on behalf of me and of someone else who's chayiv, the Rambam says I'm chayiv to give a kolman. I'm giving it on behalf of me and of you. But if I'm giving it on behalf of me and an ani, since that ani, we don't know if he's going to give it now. The Beis Hamikdash doesn't know that, so therefore they waive the kolman. Harbus means because maybe the guy would not give. He would not give. He doesn't had to give it now. But if the guy who's giving it for the ani yakid is giving it only as a loan, then chayav b'kolbain. Halacha daled. Ha'achim shadayim l'cholku. For some reason, the Rambam didn't write over here the word tfusas habayis, because we just had those words here, which is called tfusas habayis. In other words, there's an estate that wasn't yet divided, and the type of partnership, like we just had this concept, when you have to buy a lulav from your own money. Two partners that buy a lulav together, we learned one cannot do the mitzvah on the first day without the other giving a chischel b'matana. But we learned Yakir, that if I take money from the Tfusas Habayis and if Achim are not marked with one or the other, I don't have to have the guy giving me. So that's why it's unique. But here, whether it's that or Shutvim Shenasnu Shekel Shneim, even partners, Pturim Min HaKolbain. Why? Listen to this, guys. Since the money is coming out of one joint account. Beautiful. It's when two people are combining. That is by the combining or the dividing, by the combining is machayiv. If it's already combined. Now, already combined is very important. Why is it very important? Because listen to these words, guys. If me and you make a partnership, and let's say we begin by each one of us being machayiv ourselves $100. I put in $100, you put in $100. If we didn't yet use those $100, we don't view that as combined yet. Only after this money we bought schayda, we got schayda, until we make the division, as long as the original money is already exchanged. So that's what the Rambam said. That it's considered coming from one kiss, and there's no chiyuv over kolbein b'shutfim shenasnu v'nasnu b'mois hashutfis, and they already, in other words, the original money was nishtana. The original money was exchanged. Even though they're mixed together, But v'adayin lenishtanu hamois v'lo yotziyum, harei elu chayavim b'kolbein. Because it's still considered money from different individuals. Nasnu v'nasnu. What happens if we both gave the money? Each one gave 100 silver coins. And we bought schayda, we sold schayda. And at a certain point, Zman cholko. Very good, very good. And we made, and b'cholko. And after the cholko, we said, you know what? Why should I walk away with my money or money? Let's fight to become partners. The moment you understand, it's amazing how that's halachic stock exchanges. Even though the Metzias is still the same. We counted the money, it's in the same pot. Now there's 1,000 coins. We gave 100. Now I know 500 mine, 500 yours. Let me say, well, why should we take it out? Let's keep on going together. But now it's considered our original money. And only after that, those thousands are exchanged, then do you have this halacha that you're exempt from a kolbein. Halacha 5. There are two items in partnership. The chayavim b'kalboin, even though they didn't yet divide the partnership in animals, because that account is not considered one account, the money account. And the other direction, and we don't say that since we already divided the animals, so they are oimdim lachalucha. So let's for the benefit of the Beis Hamikdash say it's keilu, it was already divided. We don't say that. Halacha 6. Hanoisen shekel lehegdish. Kedei sheyachshu b'loy machzas hashekel. Now listen to this. This is the chap. Now I know I can see Kevan's face when we learned in the Gemara this case, and there were different ways of learning it. We learned that Rambam's case. Listen to this. A guy gives 1 shekel to the hegdish, but he's not giving it on behalf of anyone. You know what he wants? He wants a half a shekel back. He has to give 2 kolbeins. You have to see Kevin's face. He's saying, yeah, the temple always wins. We're being taken advantage of. There's a certain type of, he's surrendering to you lose twice, not once.
The house always wins, right?
The house always wins. I'm sure he said it. But the house wins doubles.
Yeah.
But the question is why? No, I owe, my name is on the list. They're going to take my shirt. I want you to cross my name off the list, but I want a half a shekel back. The din is, I have to leave with the temple 2 kalboinas. If I would have given it yakid for me and for you, if I wouldn't have taken anything back, I would have been chayv in 1 kolben. Over here, let me say it like this: there are 2 different exchanges. That's the way we're going to work. There are 2 different exchanges. First exchange is I'm chayv to give. I'm chayv to give. Now I'm giving 1 shekel, but I'm only chayv to give a half a shekel. That's called an exchange. I'm giving more, but that's called an exchange. Now they're giving me a half a shekel back. It's not an exchange. It makes sense. That's why that's the halacha. If you think otherwise, then you are not the one with the sense. The Eibishter has the sense. Halacha is zayin. Now, kamoshia kalboim. I guess this man. Let's go back to Perek Aleph. It's not simple. When people think the half a shekel is a fixed amount, no, it's not a fixed amount. This man Moshe Rabbeinu, it was the 160 barley corns of silver, but it could be more. So if it was 2 dinarim, then the kolben was chatzi ma'am. The point is now, I'm sorry, I said 40. That was my mistake. Okay, the kolben guys, I said good, 48. It's 48 from the whole shekel. It's 1/24 of a half a shekel. Remember the number 48. It's 1/24 of a half a shekel. And if you remember what the Rambam wrote on Perek Aleph, everything is going to fit. Hoya kolben chatzi ma'a. So that 2 is a chatzi ma'a. Shu echad mishnei masr b'dinar. 1. Very good, beautiful. However, v'hakol boinus are not like shkolim. Another thing, what do you do with that? That money was not given to the half a shekel. That money was given to the Beis Hamikdash. It was given to the house. They had a separate account for that. For what? For hegdish, for temple upkeep. This is called the bedek habayis. Halacheches. Misha avat shekel. All of these cases now. I separated my half a shekel, but I didn't give it yet to the temple. Who loses? I lose. I'm chayv and achrayis. Not obviously. Because I'll give you an example. If someone is magdish something, even before they give it to the hegdish, since they were magdish it, it's as if God, not as if God already acquired it. Doesn't need a kinyan, right? Doesn't need a kinyan. And what happens at Kir? Someone is chayv me'ilah. Someone is chayv me'ilah. If I'm magdish this, and I didn't bring it yet, the Beis Hamikdash has no benefit from it. Yet, if I use it for me, God forbid, I'm chayv me'ilah. Why? Hashem wanted some loya. Amira lehegdish is kemesirase lehedyit. So it's as if I gave it. But that's the point. That's the point. Now, what happened? They sent it to Yad Shliach. And Gneva Vaveda. Now, guys, let's go back to the laws of Shomer. Let's go for laws of Im Shomer Chinamu. What's the din of a Shomer Chinam? A Shomer Chinam is exempt for Gneva Vaveda. What does that mean? Harez and Nishbo Lahem, the Shliach swears when it comes to him. And now we just said that the guys who shekel is lost is chayv and achrayis. So everyone has to give again. The heim choizen and the noisum shekleim pam shniya. But im amru anshi yoir. What happens if the people say, since anyways we will have to give it again, we don't want for the shliach to have to swear to us. We believe him. A balabas can say it. I'm allowed to say, if I'm the mafkid, I can tell the shomer, I believe you. Not over here. Ain't shomer lahem. Why not? See, Akir, that's the paradox. Because it is already a segdish. It is and it's not. It is, but I'm chayv and achrayis. We just learned in Hilchas Matzah that chayv and achrayis means I'm the owner. If I'm the owner, it should not be. There shouldn't be no me'ilah. I'm saying that's what I'm pointing out. You lose. There's a chiddush. Now what happens if you find those shkalim? But you don't get a credit. The guy say, okay, one for this year, one for next year. That no. Which ones are the Rishonim? The Rambam, who hardly ever brings in his Yada Chazaka a machloikis, will bring a machloikis. But whichever ones is called the Rishonim, that should be for this year. And the other one should be the Shikle Shana Sha'avra, which we didn't yet learn what that's used for. But like we said, you can have from the Shiyare Halishka, you can have remaining money. So there was something it was used for. It's added to that. Halacha 9. Sholchu Eshikleim the Yad Shemer Sachar. Now it's going to change a little bit. And what's the rule of a Shemer Sachar? The Shemer Sachar is chayv and aved. But here also, what happens if the Shemer Sachar says it was lost ba'onis? What's an example of losing it ba'onis? So the Rambam is just reminding us. So list the mezuyim is an onis. That's how the Gemara resolves different status and brises. Kigoin shalokachim list the mezuyim. Shu pater. So now we say Royin. What's the Royin? Im achar shenitro atruma nanas. Listen to this, Yakir. We didn't have this by the Shemer Chinam. We had this by the Shemer Sachar. What did we learn in the previous chapter? That when the guy went into the Trumas Halishka to remove it, Yakir, he was removing it also for the people that sent the money, but it didn't reach there. So what happens if it was if it was oinus? But when did it happen? After the one in the Beis Hamikdash made the first removal for the month of Nisan. That means that money was from this. Nishba hashliach ligizbarim and ubenei ho'ir peturin. They don't have to pay anymore. You see? Oh, because shahat toirem ala gavoi v'ala asan ligvois. Which means ubereshus hagdashem. Now, why don't we say it by the Shemer Chinam? The Rambam should have said it by the Shemer Chinam. We don't say it by the Shemer Chinam. listen to this Svarim, because by the Shomer Chinam, why did you send it to Shomer Chinam? A Shomer Chinam is less responsible. You want to get off the hook, you're more on the hook. Here, they did everything right. They're paying a guy to do it. So they can say, what should we have done? That is chayving nevaved. And ein ha'oines matzoi. That's beautiful, exactly. Now, nevertheless, if it was lost before Shenit Matruma, I'm sorry. Now we have to go back to what we learned in Allah Ches. Adayim b'reshus b'nei ha'irei. And now again, v'hashliach nishba la'anshei ha'ir. And like we learned, they cannot even be meichel anything. Takanas chachamim that ein hegdesh yotzei b'lishvua, and they have to pay. And here, now here again, if the oath was taken and they paid again, everyone paid a half a shekel. We had this in Allah Ches, and now they find those bandits, right? They find the government, those ganavim that are stealing all of our money without us realizing it. All
right, in this case, the house lost.
In this case, the house case. Kevin is almost upset now. You see, it goes against your theory. The house can lose.
So I'm sorry. Why is it that
he's sorry?
Wasn't the money? What wasn't the money consecrated?
Well, the point is like this: the money being consecrated doesn't make a difference. Even though it's consecrated, the owner loses. That will be the case. That will be the case where the house loses, because when there are many things going on behalf of the people, the fact that the truma was already removed on their behalf, the fact that they did the most responsible thing possible, the fact that what happened is something unusual. And here again, so the second one should fall out. Now, which is the first? Which is the second? So in Shulchan Aruch, we're familiar. In the Rambam, normally you don't have two shittas. Here it brings two shittas. Yesh misha omer that the shkolim are shoylim sheyiplu l'shikli hashanim heim, the shkolim that were collected first. The ones that the people gave first that got lost. Oinensu, it was stolen by those bandits, and then we got it back from those ganav. However, v'yesh misha omer, no. First means the ones that came into the hands of the temple first. Not, right, the noisim, the makabel. Not the ones that were given first, the ones that were received first. There's so much chachma here. And a typical story. Do me a favor, Chaim. Can you give my half a shekel to the Beis HaMikdash? So when Chaim gets there and Chaim sees his name on the list, Chaim tells the Beis HaMikdash, this is for me. Now, the question is like this. Is there, what is he Chayiv Me'ilam? So again, we're going back to it depends. Im Nitma Truma. What does that mean, Nitma Truma? We said that the guy, when they remove it, they give it on behalf of the coins that are going to be given. So it's considered already more B'yad Hegdish. That's why we had an Allah test, the B'nei it will be Pater, which means it's Mamish Hegdish. So now this Chaim Mol HaShekel. Shezeh HaShekel was already Mamish B'Reshus HaKodesh. Shekvar Tarmu Allah Asali Gomers. V'nimtza Zehitzel Atzmai, he's getting his name crossed off the list, the Maman Hegdish. And he has a Nob Zeh HaShekel. Now make no mistake, this shekel goes on to Trumas Halishka, but Chaim is Chayiv Me'ilah. But the Eblai Nitma Truma, so then Leimal. And others then, you have to pay back. But by Geneva, you have to pay back sometimes Shnayim. I'm saying sometimes because Moida Biknas Pater. But if you were caught by Eidim, Chayv Kefil, or Lohisav Chaimish, right? Shwas, if a guy makes an oath, in the Shwas Apikodim, and then he's Moida. Then he has to give the Chaimish and the Asham Gezelos. Halacha Yudal. Hanois and Machsa Shekel Min Hegdish. No, it's a guy had already Hegdish money. I was Magdish. The money was already, designated for, and I'm taking from it. Benit Matruma. When am I Chayiv Me'ilah? It's so gewaldig. If I had in my house, God forbid, Yakir, I had a pile of Hegdish money. It was a mistake. I was a shoygig. Forgot. And I took from there and I gave the half a shekel. You know what I'm chayiv me'ilah? Only when the Beis Hamikdash did the truma and they actually used the money to buy korbanos. Kisha yistapku mimenu, then yischayv me'ilah, even though I was yotzi yedei machzah shekel. Wow. Now, noslim b'mois ma'aser sheni, then yochel kenegdei Yerushalayim. If I use the mei shvius, yochel kenegdei b'kedushas shvius. However, there's one thing. In all of these cases, the point is, even though I sinned, I was yotze. There's one time that if the money is sinful, I'm not even yotze. That's if the money came from the Ir Hanedachas. Because since everything in the Ir Hanedachas has to be burnt, and it's asur ba'ana, it has to be burnt, it's as if it's not there, it's not existent. I gave it with a nothing. Lo yasakol. Halacha yud beis. Hamafresh shikloi. And v'safar that he's chayiv. And after he gave the half a shekel, he chab, oh, I'm not chayiv. Here again, Kevin, the house does not win. Because there's a big klal. You know what the klal is? It's called Hegdish B'to'us Eino Hegdish. That's the Hegdish wasn't Hegdish. It was a mistake. Hifrish Nayim, the Nimshin Chayvel Echad. Look at this. Im B'zachar Zeh, then the second one is not Kodesh. Im B'bas Achas, then one is called Shkolim and one is called Moiser Shkolim. What's the din of Moiser Shkolim, guys? We're going to learn it. We're going to learn soon. Moiser Shkolim is a mistake. And it remains unconsecrated. And what's the din, guys? What is the half a shekel for? Ultimately, the Torah says, for kapara. There's a rule called ein kapara la'achar misa. So if the guy passed away, if the donor passed away, he doesn't need it. But it's not a toast. So now yiplu l'nedava. Nedava means that in one of those containers, that whenever the Mizbeach was sitting idle, they would use that money, lo'oilas keitz ha-Mizbeach. That's what it means. Halacha Yud Gimel. And we're going to learn this again and again in the Sefer Avodah. Alakeach, ma'ois b'yadav ha'amar, elu l'shikli. I'm giving an example. How can they even be moiser shkolim? In other words, the guy thought that he gave a half a shekel when he gave more. And when he begins gathering it for himself, he's saying, oh, this is for my shekel. And he ends up adding, and the kiss is full. He only has to give a half a shekel from that pouch. And the rest remains chulin. Even though every time he put money in that little pushkala, he says, this is for my shekel, this is for my shekel, this is for my half a shekel, this is... No! Because shemoiser shkolim chulin, because hegdish betos ain't a hegdish. Halacha Yudalid. Let's go back into the Holy Temple. What did we learn in Halacha? By Pedig Beis Halacha, hey, you had those 13... You had over there 13 shofars. So, like this. The first of all is which shofar is it closest to? That's the first thing. Karav l'shkolim, yiplu l'shkolim. Kol l'nadava, yiplu l'nadava. Mechze l'mechze, yiplu l'nadava. Why? Because nadava is holier. Why is nadava holier? Because all of the nadava, like a kid asked at the end of Halacha Yud Beis, nadava means the money is going to be used for an oila. Now, guys, make no mistake. The half a shekel is used for all communal korbanos. Not all communal korbanos are oilers. You have chatas. You know what? The chatas is eaten by the kahanim. So it goes to that which has the greatest amount of kedusha. Means it's going to be fully burnt on the altar. And the shkolim, taka for the communal korbanos, but communal korbanos is not only for an oiler. Mistapkem taka some lo oilers and some ula dvarim achelim. And you know what? We're going to see later, tomorrow, on our Pedig Dalet, some of that money, Yakid, won't even go on the altar. Communal. We'll see in Pedig Dalet. Final of this chapter.
Sorry, we say hektish b'taus ain't hektish, but we don't say the same thing about tzedakah, right? If you make a mistake in tzedakah, it still stays a tzedakah, correct?
I'm thinking because I'm not certain to give you a certain answer. At least I'm thinking. Epis, that's worth something. I don't know, Kevin. I don't know.
We said in the Gemara, even if you make... I
understand what you're saying. I just don't know. I think the answer is it depends on what case. Or the answer is machlekes. Or the honest, I don't know. Right, Allah tezvav. V'chein kol hamois hanamtsoim bein kol teva v'teva. First of all, yipro lakarev. If nimtzo mechzal mechzem. So we say yakir more machmer. Now the Rambam is giving examples. If it's between the one for the eitzim, and the other one was for the frankincense. So which one is considered holier? Levaina. Why? Because levaina is considered a carbon. And the eitzim is not a carbon. The eitzim, we are viewing the eitzim as something that's helping the carbonis get burned. But it's not a carbon prop. That's the way we understand. Why is that? Because some of the kinim go to what? Half of them go to chatas, we say. Even by the bird, by the way. The kohanim would eat the meat of the bird chatas, not from the oil. If mechzel, finally, v'chol hamois, he's thinking about the flesh of the bird. Everyone is thinking something else. Some people are thinking about the money. He's thinking about the little bird, the fegele. V'chol hamois, and I'm sorry about abayis. If you find money, how to buy is, b'chlal, you say it's chulin. No, you don't even have to be concerned. Ooh, this is hegdish money, and now which? No, it's chulin. Why? She'ein gizber moitzi mois from trumas halishka achum achalan al behem shalekech lakabonis. Whenever the people in the temple had money that were consecrated, they would never lose it. They would exchange it on an animal. Now, guys, the people that sold the animals, think about it. Then the money that they received is chulin because the kedusha went into the animal. If money is lost, it's being lost by the merchants. It was not lost by the gizban. So do you have to do Hashavas Haveda? That you have to learn the dinim, if they're with a siman, if they're in a pile. One thing we know, it's not hegdish money. So we're not concerned about hegdish, which is at least the biggest worry is off the table. God willing to be continued.
Great, thank you.
How great is that? Tomorrow, we are already going into Kiddush HaChodesh.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, tomorrow's the last chapter, right? Shkolim Peirik Dalet. But Yakir, the first 12 chapters of Kiddush HaChodesh is very easy compared to what we learned. What we learned is different.